My name's Christina Patterson, and I'm here to record the audiobook version of The Art of Not Falling Apart.
Okay, so I've just got a couple of questions for you, if that's okay, Christina. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the audiobook and kind of what led to it. So firstly, there are some really lovely customer reviews for the book. One person says, "I'd recommend to anyone whose life is less than perfect," so everyone really. And another describes it as gripping and searingly honest. How does it feel, first of all, to hear those comments about a book that you've written and one that's so personal to you? And what do you think will be added to the consumer experience when people are able to listen to it in audio format?
Well, to answer the first bit first, it feels really wonderful, actually, to get those responses. I was very lucky during my time as a journalist because if you write a column in particular, you do get a lot of feedback from readers, and I did have that a lot. But it's been a while since I lost my job, and none of that has compared to what I've had in response to the book. I think what you can produce in 1,100 words in a column, there's no comparison with what you can produce in 100,000 words, which takes up a real chunk of people's time. And I've had incredibly moving emails and messages from people saying that blokes actually, a guy who worked as a second-hand car salesman told me for the first time in his life he stayed up all night to read a book. And I heard from a young woman who had been raped, a very young woman, and who said it had helped her to put her life back together. So for me, that means the world, actually. It really means the world. And in terms of what the audiobook version will bring, well, the book is very much in my voice, and so I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to narrate it myself. And anyone who knows me will recognise my voice, both obviously the actual voice, but also the written voice, the voice of the words. And I think maybe there's a kind of immediacy in hearing the voice and hearing the words directly in your ears that perhaps you don't get on the page. And I think it maybe resonates in your head more that way. I don't know, but I'm thrilled to have this opportunity. And I know someone I know who's blind is very, very pleased there's going to be an audiobook version. And I know lots of people like to listen to audiobooks as they run or get on with their life or drive. And so I'll look forward to haunting people's driving experiences or their runs or their washing up or whatever.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's certainly a very immersive experience listening to an audiobook. Can you summarise your book in one sentence for me?
It's about how we cope when life goes wrong. That's a sentence if you'd like an expansion. It's about how I have coped when my life has gone wrong. And also I've interviewed about 20, 30 people who have been through very, very difficult experiences, ranging from job loss to illness to bereavement to having difficult children or not having children or all kinds of different things. And I've been incredibly inspired by the stories and wisdom of some of the people I've talked to.
So how did the book come about?
Well, it came about because I was feeling awful and I had lost my job. I was 49. I was unemployed. I had no income, I had no partner, I had no family. I just thought, this is bloody awful. And so I decided to use my journalistic gifts, even if I didn't have a job, to investigate how we cope when life goes belly up. And so I decided to talk to people I know, and one or two people I met along the way, and ask them how they had coped when their lives had gone wrong. So the resulting book is a mix of my own experience over the 2 years after I lost my job, and about 20 or 30 people I talked to and interviewed, and I've sort of woven those things together into what I hope is an absorbing, entertaining exploration of how we manage not to fall apart.
You've sort of already answered this one, but why do you think people should listen to your audiobook?
I hope it will cheer people up. I think anyone who's having a hard time might find some inspiration in it. But the point about this book is it's not a self-help book. It's about the art of not falling apart. The not falling apart is not a science, there's no formula, but I hope that the building up of stories, the layering of stories, the voices in the book, and my own voice will give people a memorable and interesting and I hope moving and I hope also at times quite funny experience. So I just hope it will give people pleasure. I think you should write to give people pleasure, and I hope my book does that.
I'm sure it will. I'm certainly looking forward to hearing it. And we were discussing earlier as well, and we were saying what a broad appeal it actually has. And again, you discussed this a little bit in a previous question, but people from all walks of life have been getting an awful lot from the print version, and I think that can only be enhanced by listening to the audiobook.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I was very pleased. Robert Harris, the best-selling writer, said he loved it. Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister, wrote me a letter saying how much he loved it. But I've also had messages from people who, just like most of us, have, quite ordinary lives and do quite ordinary jobs. And some from people who say they don't even read very much, but they really enjoyed it. I try to write in a very accessible style because I think that I like to have a fast read myself, and I think that the impression I have from the emails and messages I've had is that the book does appeal to people from a very broad range of backgrounds and ages, and I hope the audiobook will as well.
I'm sure it will. And finally then, why do you love audiobooks?
I think it's great to hear that voice in your head in a more immediate way. And also, what I love as someone who's always busy is to be able to do two things at once. So it's great to be able to go for a run or for a walk and look at beautiful scenery or drink coffee and eat cake and also listen to something inspirational or cheering or just beautifully written as you do it. So I love it for that reason.
Thank you very much, Christina. That was fantastic. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing the audiobook available for sale.
Thank you very much for making it into an audiobook.